At 7 a.m., Alan Purcell, the forward-looking young president of the newest and most creative of the research agencies, lost a bedroom. But he gained a kitchen. The process was automatic, controlled by an iron oxide impregnated tape sealed in the wall. Alan had no authority over it, but the transfiguration was agreeable to him. He was already awake and ready to rise. Squinting and yawning, and now on his feet, he fumbled for the manual knob that released the stove. As usual, the stove was stuck half in the wall and half out into the room. But all that was needed was a firm push. Alan pushed, and with a wheeze, the stove emerged. He was king of his domain. This one-room apartment within sight of the blessed Moric spire. The apartment was hard-won. It had been his heritage, deeded to him by his family. The lease had been defended for over 40 years. Its thin plasterboard walls formed a box of priceless worth. It was an empty space valued beyond money. The stove, properly unfolded, became also sink and table and food cupboard. 2 chairs hinged out from its underside, and beneath the stored supplies were dishes. Most of the room was consumed, but sufficient space remained in which to dress. His wife Janet, with difficulty, had gotten into her slip. Now, frowning, she held an armload of skirt and looked around her in bewilderment. The central heating had not penetrated to their apartment as yet, and Janet shivered. In the cold autumn mornings she awoke with fright. She had been his wife 3 years, but she had never adjusted to the shifts of the room. "What's the matter?" he asked, shedding his pajamas. The air to him was invigorating. He took a deep breath. "I'm going to reset the tape, maybe for 11. She resumed dressing, a slow process with much wasted motion. "The oven door," he said, opening the oven for her. "Lay your things there, like always." Nodding, she did so. The agency had to be opened promptly at 8, which meant getting up early enough to make the half-hour walk along the clogged lanes. Even now, sounds of activity filtered up from the ground level and from other apartments. In the hall, scuffling footsteps were audible. The line was forming at the community bathroom. "You go ahead," he said to Janet, wanting her dressed and ready for the day. As she started off, he added, "Don't forget your towel." Obediently, she collected her satchel of cosmetics, her soap and toothbrush and towel and personal articles, and left. Neighbors assembled in the hall greeted her. "Morning, Mrs. Purcell." Janet's sleepy voice. "Morning, Mrs. O'Neill." And then the door closed. When his wife was gone, Alan shook 2 cortothiamine capsules from the medicine well. Janet owned all sorts of pills and sprays. In her early teens she had picked up undulant fever, one of the plagues revived by the attempt to create natural forms on the colony planets. The cortothiamine was for his hangover. Last night he had drunk 3 glasses of wine, and on an empty stomach. Entering the Hokkaido area had been a calculated risk. He had worked late at the agency until 10 o'clock. Tired but still restless, he had locked up and then rolled out a small agency ship, a one-man sliver used to deliver rush orders to TM. In the ship he had scooted out of Newer York, flown aimlessly, and finally turned east to visit Gates and Sugarman. But he hadn't stayed long. By 11 he was on his way back. And it had been necessary. Research was involved. His agency was totally outclassed by the giant 4 that made up the industry. Alan Purcell, Inc. had no financial latitude and no backlog of ideas. Its packets were put together from day to day. His staff, artist, historian, moral consultant, dictionist, dramatist, tried to anticipate future trends rather than working from patterns that had been successful in the past. This was an advantage as well as a defect.